All right, shalom, brothers and sisters. All praises to the Most High Ahaya in the name of His Son Yeshaya. We're gonna go into it reading Ezekiel the 16th chapter, and this chapter in particular gives us a little insight on how the Most High views His people. All right, it's a very powerful scripture here. It's a very in-depth insight, or on how the Most High views His firstborn. The children of Israel. So we're gonna get right into it, and we're gonna see you know how the Most High feels when it comes to His people, and how did He start to feel towards His own people that He Himself put together. All right, let's start at Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 1.
Verse 1. Again, the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations.
You see that? So the Most High is saying, He's speaking to Ezekiel, and He's using Ezekiel as the mouthpiece to cause Ezekiel to show the children of Israel their filthiness, their abominations, their sin, their iniquity. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And say, Thus saith the Most High Power unto Jerusalem, Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother an Hittite.
So what is this? What is this showing here? The Most High is showing that the mothers and the fathers, like, is like a similitude, like the mother and the father of Jerusalem, or the children of Israel, are of the strange of the are the Amorites, and that mother, the father was an Amorite, and the mother was a Hittite. What does that mean? That these two foreign nations came together, and so somehow came together and made the children of Israel. But is that true? No. But what he's saying is that these two nations, we got the attributes, we took on the attributes of these foreign nations, of these foreign people. That's basically what the Most High is trying to show here. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And as for thy nativity, in the day thou wast born, thy navel was not cut, neither wast thou washed in water to supple thee. Thou wast not salted at all, nor swaddled at all.
So you see that? He said that thy nativity, in the day that I was born, thy navel was not cut. So when a child is born, the doctor cuts the umbilical cord from that separates the mother from the child. And when the umbilical cord represents the nutrients, you know what I'm saying? That the child how the child receives nutrients while it's in the mother's womb, right? But the Most High is saying here that when we came out of these foreign nations, then our navel wasn't cut. So that means we came out of those foreign nations, but yet we still kept the practices of these foreign nations. We still kept feeding off of the foreign nations. We were still following the ways of these foreign nations. This is what he's trying to show here. Go ahead.
Verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
None I'd pity thee, to do any of these unto thee,
Mm-hmm.
to have compassion unto thee, but thou wast cast out in the open field, to the loathing of thy person, in the day that thou wast born.
So the Most High is showing here again that when you guys came out of these nations, even though that these nations gave you some of your attributes, you were nothing to them. No one considered you. No one considered the children of Israel. Everybody, the children of Israel was considered as something low. No one was dealing with the children of Israel when the Most High found them. Go ahead.
Verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
And when I passed by thee,
See that?
and saw thee polluted in thine own blood, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live.
Mm-hmm.
Yea, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live.
See that? Even though the children of Israel was in their filth, even though the children of Israel was living in their abomination, the Most High still grabbed these people and said, you know what? I'm going to make you people live. I'm going to choose you people. He chose these people amongst all the people of the earth. Go ahead.
Verse 7. I have caused thee to multiply as the bud of the field.
See that? We were once nothing, but he made us to multiply. That's powerful right there. This is what, so like now we can get the insight of the Most High's heart towards his people. How he sees his people, and yet we still go astray. This is really right here how the Most High is pouring out his heart to his people, showing from the beginning stages of what it took to build his people. And now look at us. Go ahead.
And thou hast increased and waxen great.
See that? Took us from nothing, and now look at them. They were prospering. Go ahead.
And thou art come to excellent ornaments. Thy breasts are fashioned, and thine hair is grown. Whereas thou wast naked and bare.
See that? We were nothing. We had nothing, but yet he took us from where we was from. Took us out of Egypt, established us as a people, made us precious, made us have everything. So he took us from nothing and made us something. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Now when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, thy time was the time of love, and I spread my skirt over thee, and covered thy nakedness. Yea, I swore unto thee, and entered into a covenant with thee,
See that?
saith the Most High Power, and thou becamest mine.
See that? So he from us being formed, you understand, before we became a nation, he chose us, and then from him choosing us out of all the people, he made us the greatest people. He established a covenant. He made an agreement with just those people. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Then washed I thee with water.
See that?
Yea, I thoroughly washed away thy blood from thee, and I anointed thee with oil.
Go ahead.
Verse 10. I clothed thee also with broidered work, and shod thee with badger skin, and I girded thee about with fine linen, and I covered thee with silk.
See that? So the Most High gave us all the highest fashion. He made us to look. He fashioned us with the precious things, the precious materials on the earth. He gave us those things because why? It's like you have your own child. You're not gonna give your child something run down. When you have your firstborn kid, you cherish that kid. You give that firstborn child the best of everything. And this is what the Most High is showing. That the children of Israel being his firstborn, he gave them everything. But you're gonna come to find out that these people forgot about him. It's like, how would you feel if you had a kid, your firstborn, and you gave that kid everything, and when they got older, they just totally didn't regard you, disrespected you? It's how the Most High is. This is the Most High here, pouring out his heart and soul to his people. Go ahead.
Verse 11. I decked thee also with ornaments.
See, I decked thee with ornaments, fine precious jewels and jewelry. Go ahead.
And I put bracelets upon thy hands, and a chain on thy neck.
See that? We always had jewelry. Our people always had the finest of all the precious stones and golds and metals. He gave that to us. That was our blessings. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And I put a jewel on thy forehead, and earrings in thine ears, and a beautiful crown upon thine head. Thus wast thou decked with gold and silver.
See, he said, "Thus were you decked with gold and silver." He said, "See, look, I gave y'all all the highest fashion. You guys were it. You guys were. If there was a people to be revered on the earth and to be followed, it was the children of Israel. This is what the Most High is saying. You guys had it all. We had it all at one point. Because why? He gave that to us because he chose us to do that. And it's basically saying he's showing the reason why he chose us. He chose us from nothing. We were considered nothing, but he chose us out of that. Go ahead.
And thy raiment was of fine linen, and silk, and broidered work.
See that?
Thou didst eat fine flour, and honey, and oil, and thou wast exceeding beautiful, and thou didst prosper into a kingdom.
You see that? So he made sure we always was fed. The Most High always made sure we ate nothing less but the finest things on this earth, and he brought us and he made us a kingdom. We went from not having nothing to becoming a kingdom. All right, and we could use that as today. Right now we have nothing. We're serving in another kingdom right now. It's the same way he's gonna raise us up again to bring us back to that rulership position, back to that kingdom. We had that status one time. And it's funny how these Egyptologists always say, man, we was kings. We used to be kings. Yes, we used to be kings. The children of Israel, we used to be kings. But we fell from that. All right? And now the Most High is going to be calling us back to that position, to that kingship, to that rulership. All right? Go ahead.
Verse 14. And thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty.
You see that? Our renowned men, our renowned people, before the heathen, before the Gentiles, we were what was to be called what's in, like whatever was going on the earth. The other nations looked at the children of Israel for their next move. Okay, and it's like today when it comes to these new high fashion. They what you see, who you see behind the highest influence of fashion today. Your so-called African American black people. All right, we're trendsetters. All right, I don't see no one looking at the white Jewish people on the earth for any trends right now. If they were the so-called chosen, but our people are special people. This is why they set our people up in these industries to get the rest of the world to follow after it. They know that we have that gift. We have that power of persuasion. We have that. It's in our DNA. It's in our blood. The Most High is saying it right here. We were set up to show the world what to look for, how to dress, how to be. You know what I'm saying? How to rule. It was in us the whole time.
Always had swag.
We always had swag. Exactly. Swag is not a new thing. We was born with that. We have that. It's natural. Go ahead.
For it was perfect through my comeliness, which I have put upon thee, saith the Most High.
See that? He put that upon us. He made it so that way the other nations will always be jealous of us. I wouldn't say jealous, but envious, like wanting to be like us. He put that on us. He put that spirit on our people. Go ahead.
Which saith the Most High our power.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 15. But thou didst trust in thine own beauty, and playedst the harlot because of thy renown, and pourest out thy fornications on every one that passed by. His it was.
So you see what the Most High said. The Most High said that when we started to increase, because we were so popular, we were so renowned, our popularity got ahead of us. This is showing how the children of Israel fell. Okay, when he increased us, then we started to be high-minded. We started to be like, you know what, we got it like that. And then we started to go after other gods. We started to say, you know what, let me see what else we can get into. Let me see what else we can get, because we are the children of Israel. This is what the Most High is showing here. Go ahead.
Verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
And of thy garments thou didst take,
Mm-hmm.
and deckest thy high places with diverse colors, and playest the harlot thereupon. The like thing shall not come, neither shall it be so.
So we started to give our clothing and our jewelry and decking it on idols, making the idols look like, you know what I'm saying? You understand? Like, we were the ones to be reverent on the earth, reverenced on the earth, but yet we was giving our beauty, our gain to unto statues and idols. And the Most High is looking at us like, look at these people. The world is looking for you, is looking at you, but yet you're looking at the world to prosper. We started to become backwards. Go ahead.
Verse 17. Thou hast also taken thy fair jewels of my gold and of my silver, which I had given thee, and madest to thyself images of men,
See that?
and didst commit whoredom with them.
You see that? We started to use our jewelry and our fashion to create gods for ourselves. When the whole world was looking at us like, yo, these people right here, man, these people are, yo, I want to be like these people. But yet we started to create gods for ourselves with our riches. Go ahead.
Verse 18. And tookest thy broidered garments,
Hmm.
and coverest them, and thou hast set mine oil and mine incense before them. Verse 19. My meat also which I gave thee, fine flour and oil, and honey, wherewith I fed thee, thou hast even set it before them, for a sweet savor. And thus it was, saith the Most High our power.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 20. Moreover, thou hast taken thy sons.
But sorry, hold on. Back to what this bring me back? What verse 19 bring me back? How we had the fine flour and oil and honey. We had that on demand. Okay, we had that, but we started to use that towards evil. So now we can see why we don't have the natural resources of this earth like we used to. Now everything is GMO'd, genetically modified food. We don't have that anymore. Okay? And in order for us to get that fine and precious oil and flour, we gotta spend high, we gotta pay the highest price for what's so-called organic. Okay, the Most High stripped us of that because we didn't know how to use it in the first place. Now that we need it right now in these times, look what we got to go to get it. We got to spend the most money to get what we originally had. You see that? This is how you know we fell as a nation. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Moreover, thou hast taken thy sons and thy daughters, whom thou hast borne unto me, and these hast thou sacrificed unto them to be devoured. Is this of thy whoredoms a small matter? Verse 21. That thou hast slain my children and delivered them to cause them to pass through the fire for them.
So this is basically talking about our our people started sacrificing their young, their children, to gods, to another god, to Molech. Okay, our people started doing that, and the Most High was getting upset with that because our people was sacrificing the next generation to stand up for for his word on the earth. So instead of our people, the ancients of our time, having their young and raising them to be used by the Most High on the earth, they were being used to sacrifice to a false god, to a demon. The Most High did not take that lightly. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 22. And in all thy abominations and thy whoredoms thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, when thou wast naked and bare, and wast polluted in thy blood. Verse 23. And it came to pass after all thy wickedness, woe, woe unto thee, saith the Most High.
So you see that the Most High is saying, you guys don't even take into consideration that I took you guys from nothing. I made you people to what you are today. I've increased you. It was me, the Most High, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The one who told Moses, my name is I am that I am, Ahaya, Ashar Ahaya. It was me the whole time. I did this. I increased you. But yet he said that these people forgot about him. All right, go ahead.
Verse 24. That thou hast also built unto thee an eminent place, and hast made thee an high place in every street. Verse 25. Thou hast built thy high place at every head of the way, and hast made thy beauty to be abhorred, and hast opened thy feet to every one that passed by, and multiplied thy whoredom.
So you see what the Most High is saying here? The Most High is saying you guys were supposed to be the ones to be the light unto the Gentiles, right? But what the children of Israel started doing, the children of Israel started building high places, of places where instead of us using those high places to bring forth His word, we started to bring forth the words of the other nations. We started to show the other nations how to commit worse abominations in front of the Most High. All right, and that's the thing about our people. When our people get involved in these sinful activities, we magnify it more than the other nations do it. This is what he's saying here. We magnify that sin, and we show the other nations how to do that sin even greater. That's what the Most High is doing, because we have that power of influence. The Most High gave us that spirit. All right, that's just in our people. But instead of us using that spirit to bring forth His truth, we use that spirit to bring forth more wickedness. This is what the Most High is showing here. Go ahead.
Verse 26. Thou hast also committed fornication with the Egyptians, thy neighbors, great of flesh, and hast increased thy whoredoms to provoke me to anger.
So you see that? We started to go back to where we came from. We started going back to the Egyptians. And the Egyptians were known pagans. They were known idolaters. So the Most High saved the children of Israel out of the hands of the Egyptians. But what the children of Israel started to do, they started to go right back to they started to go back into the blood that He found them in. The unclean stage that He found them in. We went back to that. We didn't consider what He did for us. This is what our ancestors did. Go ahead.
Verse 27. Behold, therefore I have stretched out my hand over thee.
See that?
And have diminished thine ordinary food.
You see that? Just going back to what I was saying about us not having the fine and precious things that we used to have. We used to have that on demand. Now the Most High put a curse on us. He diminished it. He made us. He said, "You guys will have it, but you won't have it at the level that it was supposed to be." Imagine we had flour and oil, the purest flour and oil. You know how healthy our people would be. We wouldn't suffer from these from cancer and things of that nature. We wouldn't suffer like that. We wouldn't have things like diabetes and high blood pressure because the food that we would have that we used to have was pure. But the Most High said that He will diminish that. He would give us the less of that food. He would allow us to get sick from the food that we eat. Read that part again from the top.
Right, verse 27.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, therefore I have stretched out my hand over thee, and have diminished thine ordinary food, and delivered thee unto the will of them that hate thee.
See that He have delivered us into the hands of them that hate us. So now, in order for us to receive anything on this earth, we have to serve. We have to serve. We have to go to work. We have to wake up in the morning to go to work and serve these people and build their empire in order for us just to sustain, in order for us to just leave, to eat, to have clothing on us. I don't have a factory where I could just make my own clothing. I have to go to work, earn a paycheck, and go buy clothes to put clothes on my back. That's a curse. You think that, oh, you have enough money to go buy the newest pair of Jordans or the new, you know what I'm saying? Go into Versace and buy all these things, but you're not helping yourself. You're not profiting from spending your money, your hard-earned money on these fashionable clothing. You're not prospering. So the Most High did this to show us, like, look, the things that you're going after, that you're looking for, trying to be in the newest fashion and latest fashion. You guys had this already. All right, you guys already had this, but now He's showing us that now you have to go to your enemies to get what you already had. It's sad, but this is what we're living currently, and this is what the children of Israel went through in these times, and it's still going on today. Go ahead.
And delivered thee unto the will of them that hate thee,
Mm-hmm.
the daughters of the Philistines, which are ashamed of thy lewd way.
Go ahead.
Verse 28. Thou hast played the whore also with the Assyrians, because thou wast unsatiable. Yea, thou hast played the harlot with them, and yet couldst not be satisfied.
See that we had played the harlot with the Assyrians, with another nation. We went after their gods. We went after their way of life. We looked at the other nations and we started saying, like, wait, hold on, how come they do this? Let me link in with these people and see what they dealing with. Maybe let me see if I could live like that. We lusted after these other nations and wanted to be like the other nations when we were the ones who were set up to be the nation. Go ahead.
Verse 29. Thou hast moreover multiplied thy fornication in the land of Canaan unto Chaldea.
Mm-hmm.
And yet thou wast not satisfied herewith.
See, no matter where these people went, no matter where our people went to satisfy themselves, with the other nations, the other nations could not satisfy them, because what the other nations were dealing with was not meant for our way of life. It was not meant for our way of thinking. Okay, so the more you chase after these other nations, the more unsatisfied and unpleased you will be at the end. Yes, it may seem fun in the beginning, but then overall you're gonna realize, what did you amount to? Nothing. Go ahead.
Verse 30. How weak is thine heart?
How what? Say that again.
How weak is thine heart, saith the Most High Power, seeing thou doest all these things, the work of an imperious whorish woman.
You see that? It's like the works of an imperious whorish woman. She sleeps around with so much different men, but she's never satisfied. That's how the Most High is comparing His people. You doing all this, you going from here, from and there, and this, and you doing this and that, but you can never be satisfied. Why is that? Because you went away from your original purpose. Go ahead.
Verse 31. And that thou buildest thine eminent place in the head of every way, and makest thine high place in every street, and hast not been as an harlot, in that thou scornest hire.
Go ahead.
Verse 32. But as a wife that committeth adultery, which taketh strangers instead of her husband.
You see that? The Most High said that we became like a woman a female who does not prefer her own husband but goes into another man for pleasure. That's how the Most High viewed us now. Instead of us coming to him for what we need, we started to go to the other nations for our needs. Comparing the children of Israel to a whorish woman. You see that? An adulterous woman, adulterous wife. That's how the Most High started viewing us. His firstborn. Now he's looking at his firstborn with disgust now. Because why? We forgot about him. And that's the reason why we're in these curses. He's keeping us in these curses until we realize we can't do nothing without him. Without him, we are nothing. So when will our people realize, okay, when will we realize that we can't get nowhere unless it's through him, unless it's by him, because he's always been there for us. He's the one who made us who we are. He's chosen us. So why can't we go back to him? Why can't we go back to the source? Why are we trying to find other ways to prosper rather than doing what he said to do? That's why he said Israel we are a stiff-necked and hard-headed people. Go ahead.
Verse 33.
Mm-hmm.
They give gifts to all whores.
You see that? Go ahead.
But thou givest thy gifts to all thy lovers, and hirest them, that they may come unto thee on every side for thy whoredom.
You see that? Instead of see that we're paying now. Now we're paying them. We're voluntarily giving them stuff, giving the other nations our talents, so that they can use us. It happens every day. Look at the sports. Look at the sporting industry. Look at Hollywood. Our people got to compromise themselves to receive things in this world. That's what the Most High is showing. We're better than that. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 34. And the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredoms, whereas none followeth thee to commit whoredoms. And in that thou givest a reward, and no reward is given unto thee. Therefore thou art contrary.
See that? The Most High is saying, you doing all this for the other nations, and you don't, and they don't give you nothing for that. They're not giving you anything for what you for helping them out, but yet you still helping them out. Wait, read that again, because like this is you gotta I need everybody to understand what the Most High is saying. The other nations, they use our people for their own gain, but don't give us no credit for it. Read that again.
Verse 34. And the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredoms. Whereas none followeth thee.
See, no one is following you. No one wants to do what you're doing, but what?
To commit whoredoms.
Okay, go ahead.
And in that thou givest a reward, and no reward is given unto thee.
See that? You give your talents and what the Most High has blessed you with to the other nations, but no one gives you anything in return. When will you realize? When will our people realize, okay, that these other nations don't even care about us? They never cared about our people. They was never here to help our people, but yet we're willingly serving them and giving off our talents. What the Most High have blessed us with. He blessed us with singing, very different talents. We're athletic. You know what I'm saying? We're beautiful. We give all that to the other nations, and they use that. And what do you get in return? Not even a thank you. Go ahead.
Verse 35. Wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of the Most High.
So now the Most High is saying, listen to me, harlots. Listen to me. Abused people, my people who've been abused. Go ahead.
Verse 36. Thus saith the Most High Power, because thy filthiness was poured out, and thy nakedness discovered through thy whoredoms, with thy lovers, and with all the idols of thy abominations, and by the blood of thy children, which thou didst give unto them. Verse 37. Behold, therefore I will gather all thy lovers, with whom thou hast taken pleasure, and all them that thou hast loved, with all them that thou hast hated. I will even gather them round about against thee, and will discover thy nakedness unto them, that they may see all thy nakedness.
So you see that the Most High said, all the nations that you have longed after, what he said he's going to do, he's going to make the other nations realize your nakedness, meaning realize your weakness. So now all the nations could look at these particular people and use them for whatever they want them to use them for. These people will be led into whatever they want to be led into by the other nations. He was gonna cause he's causing these nations to use us now for our talents, our gifts. This is what the Most High did to us. Because he said, because you want to go after them, I'm gonna cause them to see that, yo, these people are gullible. I could just tell them to do this and they'll do it for a little bit of money. I don't see no other people on the earth getting used like this, but our people. Go ahead.
Verse 38. And I will judge thee as women that break wedlock and shed blood are judged. And I will give thee blood and fury and jealousy.
See that? He will give us blood and fury and jealousy. Okay? Only thing we get in return is death. They use us, and then the next thing you know, one of us ends up missing somewhere. They use us for whatever they want to use us for, and one of us ends up killed, and no one cares. Okay? They don't care about this, and he also give us jealousy. Now instead of us prospering, when we start seeing the other nations prosper, now we're saying, how come we can't do that, man? Man, I wish I was there. I wish that was me. How come I can't make it big? The Most High put that spirit on you because why? He want us to realize we always been the one. Okay? We supposed to be the ones prospering on the earth. But because of our whoredoms, because of us not wanting to deal with the Bible and not wanting to deal with his commandments, he's allowing these things to happen to us until we come back to him. Go ahead.
Verse 39. And I will also give thee into their hand, and they shall throw down thine eminent place, and shall break down thy high places. They shall strip thee also of thy clothes, and shall take thy fair jewels, and leave thee naked and bare.
You see that? The Most High said he said that he's gonna let these other nations use us for everything that we got. All right, everything that all the great inventions comes from our people. Okay, they take our inventions and they put their name on it and say, nah, we made this. They don't give us credit for that. That he's just showing that everything that we do, that should be revered on this earth. We will not receive any credit for it. They will take all the credit for everything that we do on this earth. The slaves built America. You think we get credit for that? You hear them mention us. You hear the president say, we would like to thank the slaves, the former slaves of the United States of America who helped us build this nation. They don't care. They don't give 2 cents about you. They could care less. That's what the Most High said. That's what happened to us. We the bottom. Go ahead.
Verse 40. They shall also bring up a company against thee, and they shall stone thee with stones, and thrust thee through with their swords.
See that? They will have the legal right to just kill us, and no one is gonna plead for us. It happens every day. Your Sean Bells, okay, all the young people, all the young black men who gets killed and shot down by cops. Everybody rallies and protests. What happened in Ferguson, Missouri? Everybody rally and protest. But no one is really helping us. They don't care about us. You think they care about one black man being killed? You think they care about 100 black people getting killed? Slavery didn't teach us. Did slavery teach us anything? Us being hung on trees and lynched. How many times are we gonna march? I mean, 1 million people marched. The Million Man March. 1 million people marched. Did that change anything? So he's letting these things happen to show us, like, yo, when are you gonna learn? When are you gonna come back to me? This is what the Most High is saying. But will our people come back? Go ahead.
Verse 41. Sorry. And they shall burn thine houses with fire, and execute judgments upon thee in the sight of many women. And I will cause thee to cease from playing the harlot, and thou also shalt give no hire any more. Verse 42. So will I make my fury toward thee to rest, and my jealousy shall depart from thee, and I will be quiet, and will be no more angry. Verse 43. because thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth,
Mm.
but hast fretted me in all these things. Behold, therefore I also will recompense thy way upon thine head, saith the Most High Power. And thou shalt not commit this lewdness above all thine abominations.
So he's saying that this is only happening because of our disobedience. He's letting these things happen to us because of our disobedience. But there will be a time where he's going to remove that from us, when he's going to save us out of that. Go ahead.
Verse 44, Behold, everyone that useth proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, As is the mother, so is her daughter.
You see that? That's where that saying come from. All right? She get it from her mom. That's where that saying came from. Just the same way the mother is, the same way the daughter is. Just like your father, boy. You know what I'm saying? This is where that saying come from. So the Most High is using that comparison, that these other nations has become our mother and father. No longer have we looked at the Most High as being our father, but these other nations, because our people keeps on going back to the other nations. We keep on trying to do what the other nations do, and it never works. We're gonna fail every time. Go ahead.
Verse 45, Thou art thy mother's daughter, that loathest her husband and her children, and thou art the sister of thy sisters, which loathe their husbands and their children. Your mother was an Hittite, and your father was an Amorite.
See that? These other nations has become our parents now. They have became the influence in our lives. Go ahead.
Verse 46, And thine elder sister is Samaria.
See that?
She and her daughters that dwell at thy left hand, and thy younger sister that dwelleth at thy right hand, is Sodom and her
You
daughters.
see that? Now our family line makes up these Gentiles. We have been totally absorbed by the Gentiles. You ask one of our people today, who are you? They'll tell you there's something else besides what the Bible say who they are. We have been absorbed. We have been swallowed up amongst the Gentiles. So the Most High is showing here. Go ahead.
Verse 47, Yet hast thou not walked after their ways, nor done after their abominations, but, as if that were a very little thing, thou wast corrupted more than they in all thy ways. Verse 48,
You see that? We became even worse than the other nations. We became worse. We magnify sin more than the other nations do. We have become the example of sin on the earth. And it's not like no one can say I'm lying. I'm lying. Every time you see a black, every time the media wanna show something that's wrong, that people should not be doing, they put up the face of the black man. Everything that's considered wicked, and everything that they want to use to discredit something, they use the face of the black man and woman. They put up our people every time they mention something that goes wrong. They use our people as the face of it. But you don't see them using their own people. You know what I'm saying? The other nations don't use themselves as an example of right and wrong. They use our people. They use our face. They use our image. Okay? Go ahead. That's what it's showing here. Go ahead.
verse 48,
Mm-hmm.
As I live, saith the Most High Power, Sodom thy sister hath not done, she nor her daughters, as thou hast done.
You see that? Sodom Sodom, a place that got destroyed by the Most High. He's saying that they didn't even commit as much sin as what you guys are doing in before his eyes. We've became worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. That's horrible. Go ahead.
Thou and thy daughters. Verse 49, Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom, pride,
Mm-hmm.
fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy.
So what was Sodom was guilty of. So he said that they were guilty of that, but we are guilty of way more than what they have been guilty of. So you see that we take the sins of the Gentiles and we magnify it to the next level, to the next extent. Go ahead.
Verse 50,
To me, that shows a lost people there. That we are a lost people. Go ahead.
Verse 50. And they were haughty, and committed abomination before me. Therefore I took them away as I saw good.
See that? Because of what we were doing, he took us away. He took us out of the land of Israel. We started to violate the land. So he couldn't keep us in his holy land. He took us away. On what? Slave ships. Cast us out of the land. So if if this book is telling us that he cast us out of the land, there's no way that the people that's claiming to be the children of Israel could be the people of the book. Because he cast us out of it. He said that those people, he said that his people would go into slavery. All right? Go ahead.
Verse 51. Neither hath Samaria committed half of thy sins,
You see that?
but thou hast multiplied thine abominations more than they.
You see that? Like I said in the beginning, we started to become the face of sin on the earth. And we still are the face of sin on the earth. Everything that's wrong considered to anything that the world considered to be wrong, they use our people as the face of, look at this local black man at 10, and they just put some kind of strange meshes behind it to show how they degrade our people and how we are the lowest in everything. Go ahead.
And hast justified thy sisters in all thine abominations which thou hast done. Verse 52. Thou also, which hast judged thy sisters, bear thine own shame for thy sins that thou hast committed, more abominable than they.
Mm-hmm.
They are more righteous than thou.
Wow.
Yea, be thou confounded also, and bear thy shame, in that thou hast justified thy sisters.
Go ahead.
Verse 53. When I shall bring again their captivity.
When I read that again.
When I shall bring again their captivity,
Mm-hmm.
the captivity of Sodom and her daughters, and the captivity of Samaria and her daughters, then will I bring again the captivity of thy captives in the midst of them.
Go ahead.
Verse 54. That thou mayest bear thine own shame, and mayest be confounded in all that thou hast done, and that thou art a comfort unto them.
You see that? So the Most High is saying that he's going to reveal to us at a time to say, like, look, these are the people that you were following. These are the people that you were under. And now he's going to cause us to feel ashamed, like, yo, we ever lived that way. Okay? So we got to realize, there got to be a point where our people got to realize, like, yo, we were made for greatness. We were not made to look like the other people, the other nations. We shouldn't be living like that. We shouldn't be killing our own people, fighting each other, dealing wrong with each other. We shouldn't be doing that. And that's the trick that the enemy has played on our people to keep us living in sin, put us against each other, giving us guns to kill each other. And our people don't realize when you're going out to kill another brother that looks just like you, the same blood that runs in him runs through you. Why would you kill your brother? Even though, you know what I'm saying? Why? But the people, that's because that's the result of people destroyed, of people who don't have no knowledge of themselves. That's the result of that. Can we all just get along? That's saying it's not going to happen until we come back to our God. We got to stop this black on black crime, man. It's not going to happen until we come back to our God. Go ahead.
Verse 55. When thy sisters, Sodom and her daughters, shall return to their former estate, and Samaria and her daughters shall return to their former estate, then thou and thy daughters shall return to your former estate.
You see that? So there's going to be a time where all the nations, which is currently happening now, are going to revert back to what their original state was. And then we will come back to our original state. We will come back to our positions again. Go ahead.
Verse 56. For thy sister Sodom was not mentioned by the mouth in the day of thy pride.
Go ahead.
Verse 57. Before thy wickedness was discovered, as at the time of thy reproach of the daughters of Syria, and all that are round about her, the daughters of the Philistines, which despise thee round about.
Go ahead.
Verse 58. Thou hast borne thy lewdness and thine abominations, saith the Most High. Verse 59. For thus saith the Most High Power, I will even deal with thee as thou hast done, which hast despised the oath in breaking the covenant.
So the Most High is saying the same. He said, I'm going to deal with you according to what you have done. So he's only punishing us, our people, for the sins of our ancestors that we continue to live in today. In order for him to stop punishing us, we have to forget about the old way and continue to follow him, or start to follow him the right way. Go ahead.
Verse 60.
So now he's going. Now we're going to go into the promises. What he going to promise us. Go ahead.
Verse 60. Nevertheless, I will remember my covenant with thee in the days of thy youth.
So yeah, see that. So there's going to be a time where he will excuse us for the sins of what we're doing. He's going to remember that he chose us. He's going to remember these are the people that I have loved, that I have chosen. I can't let them stay in their own filth. I can't let these people remain abominable. I can't let them continue that way. So he said there's going to be a time where he's going to come back to us. He's going to reveal himself to us again. And that's currently happening today. There's an awakening happening on this earth. Go ahead.
And I will establish unto thee an everlasting covenant.
Go ahead.
Verse 61. Then thou shalt remember thy ways, and be ashamed, when thou shalt receive thy sisters, thine elder and thy younger, and I will give thee unto thee for daughters, but not by thy covenant.
See that? So he said that he's gonna call this, when he starts to awaken us and bring us back. He's gonna cause us to remember the old days and remember what we used to do and be ashamed because of that, and realize like, yo, I can't believe I was living like that. I can't believe I was following these other nations. I'm better than this. He's going to cause us to remember that. Go ahead.
Verse 62.
Mm-hmm.
And I will establish my covenant with thee, and thou shalt know that I am the Most High.
You see that? So there's going to be a time where our people is going to realize who's the real God. We're going to stop following the other nations to find out the way of life. We're going to realize, you know what? Our God has had the way of life this whole time, and he's gonna cause us to remember that. Go ahead.
Verse 63. That thou mayest remember and be confounded, and never open thy mouth any more because of thy shame. When I am pacified toward thee for all that thou hast done, saith the Most High Power.
You see that? And he said that he's gonna make us. He's gonna make us to live to repent, so that way we can always remember not to go back to what we came from. Until we repent, will his anger be pacified against us? Meaning, until we come back to him, will he stop beating us? Okay, will he stop allowing the other nations to use us? Until we come back to him is when he'll stop us from killing each other and living wrong amongst each other, and being the example of the earth of what not to be. He will cause that to stop happening. But it takes us coming back to him. All right? And in order to show that, let's go into the scripture real quick. I'm going to get it for you. So we can understand how is it that we're going to come back to our God? Through how? How can we come back to our God and live in all righteousness? All right? Only through our Savior, Yeshua, can we come back to our God. Give me a second here. Oh, man. Let's go to John chapter 14 and 6. So until we realize that we are messed up as a people, there is nothing that he can do for us. All right? John chapter 14, starting at verse 6. You got that?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeshua saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
Go ahead.
Verse 7. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also. And from henceforth ye know him, and have seen him.
So our Savior have said, he is the way, the truth, and the life. And the whole purpose of us reading what we just read just now in Ezekiel is for us to come back to our God. But the Father had made Christ, Yeshua, the way back to him. So if we can't use Christ's example to get back to the Father, we are definitely lost as a people. All right? We have to keep the Most High's commandments through Christ, through what Christ instituted on the earth, what he taught, for us to be one again with the Father. So we got to come back to our God. All right? We got to be the people that we once were. And with that, we're going to say shalom
Shalom.
and power to the chosen people.